The following program is a Nighthawk Network presentation.
What up, though, people? It's your boy E-Buck in the building. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for the Guru Sports Session. We talking sports with y'all this evening. And that's what we do because we like it. And hopefully y'all like it too. That being said, can't do it without my mans on this side of me this week. We're going to go and switch him back over because you supposed to be over there in the front part. There we go. That brother Hugh Lee. What up, Hugh?
What's going on, E-Man? How everything going?
Man, it's going. You know how it is.
Been a
But we're going
wonky
to take
week.
some time out from real life to talk about this sports thing. So what you got for us this week, man?
Yeah, man. First, I want to mention, and I wouldn't even try to get the show started without mentioning my man's Alex Ovechkin. Man, I definitely told you he'd do it before the season's over with, and he definitely passed the record. It was classy too to see Wayne Gretzky there. You know, your greatness. You know, kind of congratulating him, man, because he had a lot of good escalades and a lot of things that he done in his career as far as Alex Ovechkin, and that was the icing on the cake right there, man. I think winning the title was awesome too, man. But for him to get that scoring title was actually special for him, man. And that definitely helped with hockey. But like you said, it really still didn't put too much of an impact because he's not an American-born player.
Yeah, and of course, we've been keeping y'all abreast of this all year. The chase for the all-time leading goal scorer in NHL history. Ovechkin did break that record on Sunday. He now has 895. No, actually, I think he scored another. I think he got 896 now. But anyway, passing the great Wayne Gretzky, who not only is the all-time leading goal scorer in NHL history, but also the all-time leading assist leader in NHL history as well. Yeah, definitely a classy way they dealt with it. As Wayne told him, I'll be the first person to shake your hand when you broke the record. And he absolutely did that. It was also cool that that happened on the day that the national championship went down. We'll talk about that a little later, of course. But yeah, just happy for Ovechkin. Yeah, unfortunately, he didn't get the type of publicity and press that it would because he is a Russian player, not an American or even a Canadian-born player. I think if he was either one of those, people would have been a little bit more invested. But I am happy for him. It's a little different because Wayne, he had some of them years where he just scored ridiculous amounts of goals, and then he kind of fell off in his later years. With Ovechkin, it's been pretty consistent throughout. 21 season, he averaged like about 40 goals every year. Kind of like how Hank Aaron did the home run record. He never did have no outlandish season of home runs. I think the most
Just
he was like 50
consistent.
something. But he was very consistent. So yeah, definitely shout out to that brother and congratulations.
Yeah, that was well deserved, man.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about. Funny thing is, I want to talk about both of the championship games too. What surprised me was I found out that the men's game, like the viewership, was 18.1 million viewers, and they said that was the most since 2019. But it was probably one of the worst championship games in my opinion, man. I explained that on the show too yesterday, but yeah, I didn't really too much care for that. It was too many threes and just poor play, man. And I was surprised it did that good as far as viewership.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna have you recap all that. I will have the audience, however, go to the Goose Perspective. You can find that on Hugh Lee's page. We'll give you all that information at the end of the show where you can find him at. But in the end, as he pointed out in his broadcast, it wasn't a very good game to view, even though it did get a little bit more viewership than I thought it would.
Yeah, me and you
I mean,
both.
truthfully, like you said, that men's game was much like your typical NBA game. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of unnecessary threes, a lot of ticky tack fouls at points. It had a good finish, obviously. Shout out to Florida for winning that national championship. We didn't even mention who won, by the way. That's just how, But long story short, it was a good game at the end, but for the most part, overall, not so much.
No, no.
But when you look at that Final Four, this Final Four definitely was better this year than last year's. I will say that. I mean, it should have been with all the number one seeds making it to the Final Four, but it's just a little different game now on the men's side, at least.
Yeah, the men's side was horrible, man. And like you said, the Final Four, it was cool to have all number ones, but I just didn't think the championship game really lived up to the expectations.
No, I would have to say so. And the thing is, you look at those two teams, Houston, that was basically an older team that kind of stuck out COVID and played through all their COVID years and whatnot. Then you have Florida. That was a little younger team, but for the most part, they were probably the best team, not named Auburn, in the SEC this year. It's crazy how some of the numbers that I saw, when you look at how much money the SEC made in the tournament as
Yeah,
opposed to anybody else, it wasn't even close. Because remember, they have 14 teams,
out of 16, that's huge.
14 out of 20 actually.
Okay,
But that's still like most of the conference. That's just crazy.
that's the
And
majority of
most
the
of them,
conference.
and most of them ended up making the Sweet 16.
Yeah, it was a pretty good battle with the SEC, and they started to become a powerhouse in basketball, and it has been for a while now. As many years as I say, 4 or 5 years going back. It was just weird to me because it wasn't really a powerhouse at one point in basketball. It was more in football, but now it's starting to be in both. And you can start to say, respectably, it's kind of 50-50 now when you look at the, athletes. And can't sleep on it too. Even in baseball, they have really good, athletes and quality players in baseball as well.
I would agree.
Yeah, man. I want to talk about the women's side now, man, because it was actually impressive, man. I was more or less impressed. Not only did UConn blow out UCLA, but I told you the final touches on there, man. When I said to them it was going to be UConn and it wasn't going to be close, you have more faith in South Carolina than I did. I just thought that, as far as the inexperience and just the greatness of what Gene taught over there, because I believe this year Dawn Staley had a lot of young talent, and she was like, "Hey, they either gonna do well to fold on their own," and they folded a lot this year, man. And like they struggled with the bigs and all. And at first, I'm still curious to see after all the stuff that happened in the portal too. Will my homegirl Malaysia for Wiley leave, or was she just kind of pump the brakes right now?
Okay, well, I got some news on that, but we'll get to that part of the story.
Okay.
Back to the Final Four itself. I actually was unimpressed with the first half because obviously in the first two games before the championship game, well, no, actually championship game too, we had pretty much three blowouts in that Final
You
Four, and
were.
I was surprised because remember, unlike the men, they didn't get all number one seeds, but they did get three number ones and a number two. And the crazy part is the number two team, that was the one that won.
They just
But of
won.
course, that kind of speaks to more of the fact that because remember when we go back a few weeks, remember how USC was concerned about the fact that they were a one seed and had to play UConn as a two seed because as their coach pointed out later on, she felt like they should have been a one seed and UConn should have been a one seed also, and clearly that kind of comes into play. But I think the reason why UConn was so successful in that championship game was something that somebody pointed out. One of the talking heads, he said that when you look at that team, that UConn team, over the course of the season, they became like each other's best friends. And the team of friends beat a team that was just a team. And that's why they were so successful because they played together. And you could see that in that final game. USC, they was not a cohesive unit. And you could tell that now because you're starting to see some of them hit the transfer portal, as we talked about last week. I thought would happen. So, yeah, like I said, I really felt like South Carolina had the talent to be successful this season. It's just that when it came to some of their bigger games, their team didn't gel the way they needed to, and I think it's because of how they utilize certain people on that squad, particularly Malaysia Fuwali, who I don't understand for the life of me why she was not a starter on that
No,
squad.
not at all. It didn't make sense to me. And I understand that, Dawn is one of the old school, coaches who like to play her junior and seniors. But at this point, she's one of your veterans. She's one of your established players, as a rookie coming in like that, too, to lead y'all to a championship. Why wouldn't you let her get a bigger role this year? You more or less kept her on the bench more than anything. So, yeah, I
Right.
don't know how that's going to
I
really.
mean, you even had Joyce Edwards coming off the bench, and I ain't understand that either. She was the
No,
number
not
two
at all.
recruit. I mean, she should have took a page out of Gino's book because if you notice in these last couple of years, more or less out of necessity than anything, Gino did start a lot of freshmen and sophomores, and that came to his benefit. Because think about it: what if he would have played it the way he used to play it back in the day, and
They
Sarah
wouldn't
Strong
be
only
ready.
got 15, 20 minutes a game? This would have been a whole different UConn team with her coming off the bench.
She was just so well sound though, man. She was like, who she remind me of coming into, the college, it reminds me of the transaction when the big fundamental um
Absolutely.
went to the NBA. He was already fundamentally sound, man.
Yes.
David Robinson. I mean, not David Robinson. Tim
Tim
Duncan.
Duncan. There
Tim
you
Duncan.
go.
That dude came in the NBA because remember the thing that surprised us about him just coming out of college, the way he was cooking Shaq, the way he made Shaq confused, like he made Shaq look dumb, man. And that's kind of like you don't normally do that. Besides Akeem Olajuwon, Shaq used to get the best of players, but Tim Duncan definitely used to get the best of Shaq at some point, especially his rookie year. But that's how
Right.
Sarah Strong came out. She just came out real calm, collective out of high school, and she had the veteran presence, and that's what I believe
Well,
helped.
that come from her DNA. Think about it. Her father, uh, Derek Strong, he was a NBA player and played overseas. Her mother was a WNBA player, played in college at a high level. Clearly, all that rubbed off on her, and you could tell that in the way she plays.
In the
So,
DNA. It's in
and
the
it's
DNA.
crazy that the fact that she's just a freshman because, in an ideal world where the WNBA was set up like, well, basically where women's college basketball was set up like the men's college game, you would think, yeah, she a one and done. She truly could be. If she came out right now,
She'd be a high pick.
she would be the number 2 pick. No doubt in my mind. Right behind Paige. And you might even argue if she wouldn't be the number 1 pick.
For what she could bring to the table on a lot of teams too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
So, the scary part is you look at that and can she get better? Scary part is, yeah, probably so. But from what you see already, man, it's scary.
Yeah, the ceiling gonna be real high for her.
Right. But all in all, the games themselves was disappointing, but the viewership was good. And obviously when you look at the aftermath, hell, Paige and Gino, they doing the tour. They've been on Today, Tonight Show, First Take, you know what I'm saying? So they getting their love out here in these streets. So, and then remember, next week, we already in the draft.
Did you see the show yesterday? It seems like everybody want to kind of mimic or make their own decision now, like what LeBron James did. We already knew, which was kind of a shocker too, to see Olivia Miles go to TCU, but they was trying to make it like it was a big stage.
Yeah,
We already
yeah.
knew.
I mean, the crazy part is this transfer portal thing has changed the game completely. I mean, think about it. It wasn't even in the Final Four yet. And the first few days the transfer portal was open, over 2,400 people. 2,400 people between the men's and the women's basketball, just the basketball, mind you, entered the transfer portal. We had basically certain teams that had half their team enter the portal the same day. It's crazy because we got some sites now that we done found where they give us the updated news on when the transfer portals hit and when they go in there, and it's like me and Hugh just been going back and forth last few days. Like, dang, look who hit in the portal now. Look at this person. And then the crazy part is, it seemed like just as quick as these people hitting the portal, they already got a new team,
Yeah.
which I find to be very interesting. because it come off like, man, I knew where I was going anyway. We already had these discussions.
Yeah.
I just had to wait till I could do it, and let me jump up in here. Let me have my agent sign off on these NIL deals, and we in business.
It seems like more or less, and the worst part about it is some people did it kind of respectively when they waited till after the national championship. Some did it while the championship was going on, man.
Right. And then some basically, I mean, because I think the Olivia Miles thing was like the next day after they got eliminated. It was crazy. But here's the funny thing about it. I think even more people would have hit the portal, but I think because of the way it went down, you got to looking at your team like, okay, this hold on. Yeah, like take Notre Dame, for example, who basically had half their team graduate, and then the other half hit the portal. It's only 2 people on that team right now from last year's team at the moment. One of them was Hidalgo, and knowing how valuable she is to that program, I imagine somebody came to her like, look, you ain't trying to leave, bitch. Hold on. No, don't go nowhere yet. Hold on to this right quick. We gonna get some more for you. This be chill. But see, there's that. But then it's some teams like, well, we knew we wasn't gonna do nothing in the tournament, but I've been waiting on this moment. Bring that money bag out. Yeah, we ain't had no team this year, but I bet you we about to have one next year. Yeah, who trying to be over here? Oh, you trying to be over here? Here you go. You trying to be over here? And it seemed like teams like TCU, teams like Washington, notice they didn't got quite a few people these last few days. Teams like Maryland, all of a sudden they upgrading big time, real quick.
LSU just needed one huge upgrade, and they got it too with the forward from Notre Dame, Kate Caval. That was a huge move.
But in the same token, they lost 2 people, including that center, De La Rosa. And remember, she was one of the top 10 recruits in the country coming out of high school. So I'm curious to see where she ends up at.
Yeah, because this
she is from around that Rutgers area. Don't be surprised if they try to scoop her up.
It depends too on a lot of these people where they trying to go. A lot of them still trying to compete too.
But no, speaking of people that didn't hit the portal and went to a place, among them being Olivia Miles, who basically was for all intents and purposes the best point guard in the country, but then the leading scorer in the nation, Natalia Latson from Florida State, she hit the portal, and lo and behold, where did she end up? With her old high school teammate over there at South Carolina. Now, interestingly enough, we was talking about Elijah Fuwali, and based on what we saw, I just couldn't see her staying at South Carolina. But then remember, after high school, they all play AAU league. And guess who was on that AAU squad with Latson and Raven Johnson? Malaysia Fuwali. And the other kid that got hurt this year, Watkins. So I think based on that, they'll probably get Malaysia to stay at least one more year to play with the homegirls.
Watkins took a back step too, because I thought for sure she was going to be gone, and she was like, "No, I ain't going nowhere. I'm gonna stay now that one of my old former teammates, is going
right."
To,
so here's the problem, Hugh. I think next year they run into the same scenario because if you got Latson, who's the leading scorer in the nation, no way you put her coming off the bench. You got Raven Johnson, again a senior, somebody that actually runs the offense the way Dawn wants her to. No way she gonna start off on the bench. They're your 2 guards right there. Malaysia, you back to being a 6-man again. Is that what you really want? I mean, keep in mind, this ain't about championships. You already won a championship at South Carolina. This ain't about money. You already getting money. You got a nice NIL deal at South Carolina. But perhaps you could upgrade it and get more shine if you go to one of the schools that's a little less but a little more, like a TCU, like a USC, because we know more than likely you're not going to get
Juju Watkins back right away
anytime soon, if at all next year. Remember, when Paige broke her ACL, she didn't play that whole next year. Remember when Azzi Fudd hurt her ACL, she didn't play for most of that year. So don't be surprised.
So yeah, you're right. It's a possibility that where she could still land somewhere because it ain't really all about because of my buddy or one of my friends over there. It's about the respect, and I just didn't feel like she got the respect she deserved last year, and it was just strange because it was a lot of people, not just me and you, but other fans of the game was starting to talk and get to my get my attention from saying like, man, she's not even putting her in crucial parts of the game, and if she do get in and if she missed a shot or if something don't go Dawn's way, she'll put her right back on the
Right.
bench.
Okay, you did that too fancy. Yeah, you got to go and sit down for a minute.
Because
And
remember, he,
remember these young people. And if you know you good, but yet they treat you like you ain't, at some point you like, hey. Now, see, the only thing is when you're a coach like Dawn said, you're like, look, girl, I know what I'm talking about. See these rings? Just like, we know Gino hard on his players. They all talk about it. But in the end, the results speak for themselves. Gino could be like, look, I know you see all these 12 rings, right? You know I know what I'm doing.
yeah, because she took a lot of like she'll vocally be mad at the rest
Yeah.
of the
I mean,
season.
because clearly that game and championship game, Dawn was pissed throughout that game. And a lot of people have commented on it online. That being said, some of y'all comments, y'all internet gangsters, come on, man. Dawn Staley is one of the best coaches in America. Some of the comments that's being made on some of these TikToks and whatnot, ridiculous. Outlandish. And for some of y'all, we know why you're making them. We know exactly why you're making them comments. You know what I'm reaching for, Hugh.
Oh yeah, and what's funny about it too, a lot of people still butthurt about that Caitlin Clark not coming up short last season. So that's the
Absolutely.
backlash.
So that asks this question. Okay, Payson did her thing, did what Caitlin couldn't. Do you feel like Paige should be getting more love?
She should definitely be getting more credit because it's just like Caitlin Clark just came up short several times, and she came in, and not only that, but she beat all the number ones too, going out of college. This season, all the number one seeds got beat by UConn this year.
Right, and think about it. They damn near got close to winning it last year, but remember they were so short-handed. It was only like 7 players on that squad going into the tournament. If they would have been healthy last year, Paige probably would have went back to back.
Yeah, I could definitely believe so because when I seen how everything transpired last year, it was still controversial the way
Right. I
they.
mean, 'cause think about it. They had Aaliyah Edwards on that squad with a healthy Paige and a healthy AZ Bud. That would have been a hard team to beat. But yeah, it's crazy. Oh, yeah, another person we want to point out, Kiyomi McMiller, the outstanding freshman from Rutgers. We're waiting to see where she gonna end up. I think she could be a changing factor. And then if you notice in the transfer portal, we definitely noticed it the last day or so, Hugh, a lot of bigs hitting the portal. A
Yeah,
lot of bigs.
it was
Because they're
more
not getting
guards.
playing time where they at.
It was more guards at first, and now it's starting to be more small forwards, power forwards, and centers.
And I think a lot of the teams that was kind of on the verge, a lot of them teams in the Sweet 16 that didn't quite make it to that next level, more times than not, that's what they was missing. A big. Understand, South Carolina, that would have been a whole different game if they had a Cordosa or a Boston or what have you in that, or somebody of that ilk in the lineup.
Yeah, I definitely feel like now it's the time because there's more people in portal than ever before, and it's like it's a little ridiculous, and they need to clean it up. But still, it's enough where you can go and you can handpick who you want to try to put on your team and try to help build your roster right now.
Right. I mean, because in the end, I think it boils down to 3 things. If you hit the portals for 1 of 3 reasons. One, where you at, ain't no money there. And that's usually the case in some of those smaller schools. Like, look, I average 20 points a game, but I play for Okie Doke State. Ain't nobody trying to see me here. Let me go play for Coach Moki or somebody right quick and get some shine. Or it's 2, okay, I'm here. I ain't getting no playing time. I know I can ball. I be baking them in practice. But when it come time for the game, coach be doing me dirty. Let me go somewhere where I can get some PT and show what I'm really good at so I can get some of this NIL money.
And
So
that's what
that's that one. And then the third thing is like, okay, look, I'm homesick, flat out. I'm way out here. I only play like 8 minutes. I ain't trying to do all this. The team near my crib, they need a center. Let me go on over here so my people could come see me play. At least that much. So I think them the three reasons, at least on the women's side. On the men's side, I think a lot of that more is fueled by the playing time and the money than anything else.
That's what makes this year so interesting. Just in
Right.
general, how yeah, a lot of it's kind of sloppy, and they need to fix the mess with the NIL, but it still makes interesting, and it makes for a good just sports in general, because you just don't have it like how you're the best team or you get the best recruits now, man. It comes with a lot of money now, man, and that money comes with a lot of responsibilities too. So yeah,
Right.
definitely it's a different and a new ball game.
Right, because understand there's the recruitment that we see on the outside with people trying to buy players to build the program, but it's also the recruitment that we're not talking about, Hugh. That's the people that's alums of some of these schools that the presidents of these schools going to like, look, we need to get these players. We need you to help us out. Can you donate some money to the program so we can handle bids? And the crazy thing about it, Hugh, is in the end, that's a whole separate money. Meanwhile, the NCAA is still making billions, mind you, and still getting over.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because NIL wouldn't be nearly as crazy if they basically say, look, NCAA, you done got this 7-8 billion from this TV deal. You need to break some of that bread with us, okay? Not just that little chunk you give to the school. I'm talking about you need to break us off half and half. Half for the school, half for the kids. Y'all keep that other half. And we all can eat good. But what's the likelihood that's going to happen?
Never.
Yeah, that part.
I just looked too, and I seen it would flash across my phone. They were saying Luka Doncic, that technical he had last night in the fourth quarter, has been rescinded upon review.
Of course it was. Real quick, y'all. Last night, Lakers played the Thunder. Remember, they played a few nights earlier, and Lakers spanked them good. Last night, everything was kind of chilling along. Then Luka got this old BS technical, and then the Thunder took over and won the game. You can't do that this time of year.
No, that was
Understand, we in the last 3-4 games of the season. That probably might be the last time Luka even played into the playoffs. And you taking him out over some BS. Come on now.
the year been handled pretty rough too, man. Like coaches getting fired like 2 weeks before the
And
play.
I so did not like how they did that. Why was that even necessary? Because usually when it go down that way, for a team that's actually going to make the playoffs, you think, okay, which one of the big stars wasn't happy with what coach was doing? And I'm sorry, we know the Joker. That was not a Joker call. It was not. That was one of the owners saying, I got big balls. I do what I want. You up out of here.
Yeah, because I know he was talking about how he was frustrated. That's the Joker. He was frustrated with the lack of defense and the way they've been playing as far as their effort. But I wouldn't see him being one of them type.
That wasn't the fault of that coach. Not that coach. You know, that coach was a defensive coach.
Yeah.
I mean, bottom line, I don't feel bad for him. I mean, he the type of coach, he'll have a job next year.
Hey, check this out, E man. One person brought this about too, and it really made sense. I think Monica McNutt said this, and I said that's interesting. We don't know what's gonna happen with Greg Popovich yet, man. San Antonio will be perfect if things materialize to where Pop don't come back next season. So he's gonna have options. That ain't even no question.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, it was just downright dirty how they did some of these coaches, Memphis coach, and it's just been crazy, man. But then I know too, I was watching Up in Smoke, man, and then you heard from Matt Barnes, and he was saying, man, basically now this is a actual players league, man. The players run the league because one of the guys on the show was a coach, and he was like, man, we answer to the players, man. The players don't answer to us. And you can see it now, man. If I don't like a person, man, like with Monty Williams, or if I don't like a player in general and I mess with them like a Mike Brown and that player gets frustrated with me, man, guess what? It's either me or the player. I'm going to leave. I'm going to have to pack up and go somewhere else because the player's not going nowhere. But the weird thing about that was this year, was the fact they did all this for De'Aaron Fox, and then just to say, okay, we about to trade this brother now after all that stuff materialized. So yeah, the NBA's been pretty weird this year, man. They need to make it make sense because they always made fun of the NFL and like how they was a laughing stock. Man, you guys are starting to be the joke of the professional sports right now.
Right. I mean, it seemed like it all got crazy once they traded Luka. From that point on, it seemed like every other week something happened. It'd be like, I mean, the way the Jimmy Butler thing got dealt with in Miami, that was garbage. Yeah, like I said, the Sacramento situation, that wasn't no good.
Wasn't feeling how they handled the Embiid situation earlier in the year when he was like,
I don't like how Philly dealt with any of that. The way they dealt with stuff in New Orleans, I'm kind of questioning that as well.
Check this, E. Like you said, from the get-go, from with Philly, when Joel Embiid was like, yeah, I believe I won't be playing back-to-back games. Like, dude, when you sign that contract, man, you signed that contract for hundreds of millions of dollars, but to
Right,
be
and it
able
wasn't to
to,
play every other game.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that's crazy too how they handled it. When when we saw that news, I was pissed when I seen the news in New Orleans when they said McCollum and Zion's not playing, and they just scratched them the rest of the season.
Yeah, and
I
it's
think
crazy
Team Sankey,
because out of all the people that got hurt and not playing, the Dame Dollars and all of the world, the person that's still playing right now, that nigga Kawhi. He actually made out pretty good the second half of the season. It's crazy.
surprised me, but hey, they're not too fast now because you know how Kawhi is. He'll play
I mean,
sometimes.
it is playoffs coming, and that's a whole
Yeah,
nother story. But,
the playoffs out of nowhere, that
I
dude
just
just
give him
went up
credit
and
for
scored.
actually playing a good 40, 50 games this year.
Because the one person who ain't been getting credit, who's been scrutinized a lot, man, when he wasn't happy with the situation where he was playing, was James Harden, man. And then when we see it with ourselves, when we are on the outside looking in, but then when we see how the noise was when it came with the Nets and how unorganized it was, and he wanted out and he went to Philly, and how messy it is over there now. And now he goes over to the Clippers, man. It seems like he at peace with himself now, man.
Yeah, I would agree. Like I said, I mean, well, think about it. He home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Harden is from California, around that area, so you tend to deal with stuff a little differently when it's that. And it's crazy because, like I said, last games of the season is Sunday. So next week, y'all, we talking NBA playoffs, and soon after that, NHL playoffs. Although in the NHL, not really no dominant team this year. So interested to see how that's gonna go. And then pretty much we already know the scenario. If you got the best record in NHL, it's almost a given you're gonna lose. I can't even remember the last team that had the best record in NHL. It might have been the Red Wings that had the best overall record and actually won the Stanley Cup. It's almost a given now. You had the best record, you doomed to fail at some point.
You get stunned and you be out quick.
Exactly.
It's kind of like that in baseball too. You know this now, man. Sometimes
True.
you had that
True.
best record, man. You'll slip on your face, man, and you'll be out. That first round.
Right. And speaking of baseball, what a difference a week make. Guess who ain't the best team in baseball right now?
Who, the Dodgers?
They not even in first place.
Who
Padres are.
Padres, yeah, because them dudes, I only think they lost a game, maybe two.
Mm-hmm.
They going
Meanwhile,
4-2, and then Philly was playing pretty good too. Like
yeah,
you know,
whooped up on the Dodgers. And then, of course, on the other side, Yankees was good till they came to time. Now, granted, they pulled it out today, but yeah, Tigers had something for them this week. I was surprised.
man, it was too cold too out there, man. But it's like, remember what I told you yesterday, man. Well, why they keep pitching to Spencer Torkelson, man? You keep pitching to that dude, you gonna learn, man. That dude's been hitting everything lately, and I'm hoping, man. Knock on wood. I'm hoping he stay consistent.
Right, because like I said, if we get this Spencer Torkelson the rest of the year, that changed the whole scenario because between him and don't forget the other guy, who I didn't forgot his name just that damn quick.
Oh, Shortstop?
No, the outfielder.
I'm trying to see.
It'll come to me. But anyway, them the two power bats in the Tiger lineup. If we can get them rolling consistently, that changes the whole lineup because eventually some of these players that's not healthy right now, they'll be back in the lineup and we can get our defense a little better. And clearly the pitching has been standout thus far. Even in a loss today, that dude Flaherty looked pretty good.
Yeah, it's been a really good season so far too, man. Just been good baseball. And the crazy part was at one point what made me laugh, which I knew it wasn't gonna be long, the White Sox was leading the division. And then that see how fast that changed in a week.
Hey,
But
we see them play, they awful.
but
I hope they got some good people down in the minors because we're gonna see them sooner than later.
the weird part about how everything is too, is the fact that how I looked up and I was seeing how some of the teams wasn't playing that well, and then how everything just shifted. Like for instance, I don't know how long it's gonna last, but the Los Angeles Angels have a 500 record. I think they're like 7-4, something
What I
like.
really want to look into, remember, we talk about this all the time on the show. The one draft where they drafted all pitchers and only pitchers.
Oh
I still
yeah,
don't know how many of them is actually in the league right now, or actually even still with the Angels. We'll have to look that up. Because clearly none of them turned out to be Shohei or anything like that. We would know by now.
yeah. I definitely understand where you're coming from because we'd have thought that one of them at least would have made an impact, but I haven't really heard nothing from you.
Right. And it's crazy because of course Blake Snell, he out now for the Dodgers, but they got Shohei ramping up. He'll be in the starting lineup soon. And you still got the ageless Kershaw over there that's probably eventually gonna be pitching for him. So are they just swapping people out? There's so much talent over there. I still don't see them not winning again. I just can't see it.
Only thing that can hurt them if they have injuries to some of the key players. Like,
They'll have to have buku. I mean, 'cause remember they had that last year and they still won.
but I'm
So
talking about not just we'll be out for a minute. I'm talking about season ending.
it would have to be someone along. You had to lose like a knock on wood, a Mookie or a Shohei or somebody like that.
The Atlanta Braves, what they went through last year.
Exactly.
But yeah,
And it's crazy because they starting to play a little better, but Atlanta they still ain't Atlanta just yet.
no, not at all, man. I'm
And clearly they miss people like Max Fried. I don't understand how they let that dude get out the building anyway.
he pitched today against us.
Yeah, he was dominant.
Yeah,
Dominant.
no sense. They had
Lucky for the Yankees, they made that move because think about it. If it wasn't him, Cole out, the kid Gill from last year, he's out. They pitching wouldn't be looking all that great either without him.
no, not at all. They got some good players over there too, but then still, man, you can't keep the ball in the ballpark, man. That'd have been an issue. So, yeah, but then the crazy part is too, like you said, Blake Snell seemed like he always at some part injured. But then, like you said, they got enough talent at pitching and just all around to where they'll be able to still bounce back,
Right.
take off a game or like a month or so before he had to come back and really contribute to that lineup.
Yeah, and of course, don't even worry about Aaron Judge. He tend to get off to slow starts like this, particularly when they play a lot of games early on in the cold.
Yeah.
Once it warm up, he'll warm up.
Because remember when it was cold the last time we went in April, we kicked that
Boy,
butt.
was he. Boy, was he.
But now, man, once it gets start getting like in like end of May, June, that's when they bats get crazy.
Yep. So shout out to y'all real baseball fans because the ones that's going out to these cold weather games this first month of the season, y'all the real ones. I ain't even gonna lie.
Because I couldn't do it after getting sick that last time. Because I was just recovering from feeling sick last week, and I was like, man, I couldn't do no game today or any other day this week because it was like in the mid 40s and the wind chill was like in the 20s.
Remember, Hugh, I was down there the other day. It was every bit as cold as you saying, and then some.
No, I couldn't.
And I wasn't even at the game. I was just downtown. No.
And that's how people get sick too, E, because I believe one of the days I gotta find it, man. I think on like a Monday or something, one of the days is gonna be 70 degrees and the next day is gonna be like 46.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Michigan. I mean, that's why when people look at, okay, I can't live this place, that place, this place because of the weather. This is the type of weather y'all talking about.
It actually went down. Monday gonna be 65. Guess what? Tuesday gonna be 45. So
Hmm.
that's how you get sick, man. That's what happened to me that time when I told you I got sick because it was like 70. Because at first they were saying it was 68, but then most times it'll probably go up a little higher. It was 72 degrees that day. You know what the next day was? It was 36 degrees. So I
Right.
was sick as a dog. Probably that day
And
after.
see, here's the crazy part about it. You see what we've been talking about the last few minutes? That's just how the sports landscape then kind of set up for this week. Not a lot to discuss in terms of overall. It's a few things going on we could mention briefly. We got the Masters for y'all that like golf. That's going on this week. I'm sorry. No Tiger Woods. Me no care.
I don't really
And
watch.
there it is in a nutshell. You know,
Luka
you
played tonight, going back to Dallas. So I want to see if they give him a warm reception and see how that goes because he needs to be a villain. And at one point, I just want to know when would that be and when would that materialize?
right.
If he
Okay,
beats
so yeah,
on hey,
let us do our fans a favor because it's a few of y'all deep into that WWE. We'll discuss that for a few. Yeah, as you know, WrestleMania is coming up. I'm seeing what they got for the marquee. Dude, I don't know about you, Hugh. I ain't that pressed about this particular WrestleMania. What's your thought?
I haven't been for a few years now, man, like the last 2, 3 years, but I haven't been impressed with just wrestling in general lately. You remember when the last time you really heard me talk about something? I do like the fact with I call them the Samoan dynasty. Everybody else call them bloodline. We old school, so we remember,
For sure.
the all the family, from the
The
Islanders,
Fatus and the Seekers and all them. And Iokis.
yeah,
Exactly.
we know those guys, man.
Yes.
The great Chief Maivia and all those dudes
Right.
coming up, in the '80s. But yeah, man, that's the one thing I am excited about. But it's not really too much that makes me say, "Oh yeah, I got to sit back and see what's happening." Like, what's with all these damn triple threats, man? That'd be the worst.
That's part of what is really bothering me about it. Usually it's always at least one in WrestleMania, but it seems like half the matches this year is going to be that. And it's with opponents where it's like, okay, did you really need this third person? I mean, granted, like the women's match, for example. Yeah, I understand that Sky is the champion, but she really is a throw-in. And the crazy part is the way they setting it up, it looked like they're gonna make it to where she end up winning the thing, which is gonna be really awkward and weird because in a real world scenario, Rhea Ripley and the EST, she shouldn't be beating either one of them one
No.
on one straight up.
The only time I seen something when people didn't see it before, Ian, it was so cool and it was great for wrestling. Rest in peace to both of those brothers, man. Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit. That time when they both won on the WrestleMania, nobody had Benoit winning, in that triple.
Well, you know that's a name they don't like to talk
Oh
about too
yeah,
much.
but yeah, he definitely he was one of them guys nobody expected to win, and then to see him and Eddie win the WrestleMania, they make it to the point now where it's just too obvious, man, and it's just to the point where I'm not really feeling it.
Yeah, I think that's what it really boiled down to, the plot line. I mean, and then the fact that they decided to go ahead and make John Cena a knucklehead at the end.
The end of his career of all things,
I'm just ready for him to go on and sit it down, go on, do your action movies, and
I was ready for him to.
I'm just, I will tune in. I mean, shout out to my girl Fee. Check out her show Rumble Time on TikTok, by the way. That's Felicia Bell's Rumble Time. Shout out to her and the WWE Nation that's down for that. But yeah, I'll probably tune in on WrestleMania here and there, but I ain't gonna sit there and watch the 8-hour 2-day event. I can't.
I was done with John Cena when he started looking like my man's what's the Ernest Scared Stupid. Once he started looking like him, man, I wasn't really impressed, man.
Oh no. He ain't wrong. All right. Shoot, truthfully, that's what I got, bruh. That's
Yeah,
it.
really too much else for me to talk about neither, man. Just was glad to come on and kind of do the show with both of us kind of being good at health right now. Thank the Lord for that. But other than that, man, if you want to roll it across the screen, man,
Yeah,
that's all good.
let's
But
go on and finish up our project here. All right.
and y'all already know where to find your boy at, man. You can find me at Hoovy on Instagram. Most times I put up the show when it comes to the podcast. And you can catch me on Sports Guru to You on Facebook. My main thing on there is I just want to give the late breaking news and I want to give you guys some good sports and whatever's going around as far as the scores to keep up with. I'm going to definitely put more of the stuff that's going on the transfer portal, especially when it's a big name going to another school, kind of check that out too. I'll be putting those alerts on there. You can catch me on Hughley.62 on TikTok. And most times I put up a lot of reels, football, baseball, basketball, etc. And if you have any questions or anything else extra you want me to put on the show, you can, email me at sportsguru2you@gmail.com. And thank you. And I appreciate you all for chiming in on the show with us,
Hold on, good people.
Hmm.
There we go. And there you have it. In a nutshell, another episode in the books. Like I said, we will keep you abreast of all the major little news in between. Remember, next week we got the WNBA draft, we got NBA playoffs, so we'll definitely have more to talk about next week for sure. But in the meanwhile, we even gonna get you set up for NFL draft. That's a couple weeks away. So in the meanwhile, y'all have a good rest of your week. Thank you for tuning in. Any comments that you have, we're not doing the show live this week or pre-recorded live as we sometimes do it. So we will see your comments. If we're not watching ourselves at this point, we'll at least answer your comments later on. Shout out to all our major folks as always. Shout out Big Joe. Shout out, of course, to Coach V. Coach V, hit me up, baby. Hit me up. If you see this tonight, hit me up tonight, tomorrow. We'll talk. Felicia, hit me up. Got some things for you as well. Of course, we shout out to Road. Road, I'll talk to you soon. I got some in the works for you as well. But everybody else, we love you. That is it. That is all, y'all.
Looking for the ultimate throwback experience? Tune into Nighthawk Network Radio. Imagine jamming to classic hits and the best B-sides from your favorite artists, yes, those hidden gems you forgot you loved. We're serving up a variety of genres that'll have you singing along, from smooth R&B to those hilarious comedy bits that'll make you chuckle during your commute. Whether you're cruising down the road or relaxing at home, we've got the perfect soundtrack for you. It's like a nostalgia trip with every song. Trust me, you'll find yourself reminiscing about the good old days, right? So, why not give it a listen? Click the link to join the Nighthawk family and rediscover the music that shaped your life. You won't want to miss out.
Hold up.